I was thinking about the concept of identity that you've been talking about lately and some of the negative identities people form. And I thought actually that comes from in some of the stories actually too in your book, but it's just an interesting idea of how people can see themselves wrong their whole life.
Yeah, they form a largely negative image of themselves based on the way they were treated and any hurt emotionally, any pain they experienced becomes incorporated into the way they see themselves. Besides that, they're actually defined. They're told that they're the smart one or the critical one or the lazy one or whatever, and they pick up images of themselves as a part of their identity. The other is more subtle. The first is more subtle. It's the image of yourself that you pick up emotionally from the way you've been treated, the way you've been responded to. And I think that's more subtle. And then the third part of a mistaken identity, in a sense, or a negative identity, is the way you were bent out of shape, the type of defenses you form to cope with the emotional pain and distress. And to varying degrees, every child suffers to some extent, even in the best situation. And wherever it is insensitive or hurtful, they develop a negative concept of themselves to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. And once they form that concept, they tend to live out that way of being. And it becomes verifiable in a sense. They know that they're this way or that way based on the fact that they've actually reenacted it. And once they assumed that it was part of their identity, they acted in that regard, and it became part of them. Mm-hmm. And yet, still, it's not really their authentic self, mm-hmm. nor is it an accurate picture of who they are as people. It's an accident of experience, in a sense, mm-hmm. and its impact on the growing development of a child. It's an accidental identity based on whatever was wrong within the family or whatever projections were made onto the child or distortions of the child. And basically, it's a mistake to be too defining of who a person is with your child. It's better to try to understand them as changing people. That identity isn't a fixed thing. It's not. You don't want to put labels on your child. Mm-hmm. You don't want to make these kind of definitions. You don't want to be absolute in the way you perceive or treat another person. So that's part of it too. Mm-hmm. There's a huge amount of distortion in the way the child is treated or misperceived based on the parents' defense systems. The parents' own defenses interfere with their ability to relate sensitively and appropriately to the child's needs emotionally.